It says that, okay. So Ed, we are going live, and I'm not sure whether this works. Okay, but yeah. Okay, so second time lucky. Let's see if this works. Okay, so Ed, just now we were talking about the floods in KwaZulu-Natal, and again, for those of us that join us live, welcome. As we continue to learn about the live streaming platform, just now we use Restream, but it looks like its live studio may have some problem causing the poor sound quality. So now we switch to Zoom meeting, but connected by a Restream again, and let's see how this works in terms of voice quality. And hopefully this is going to be better, but unfortunately I'm unable to see anyone who posts or comment. Yeah, so but then continue to post and comment so that we are able to see those afterwards and maybe reply to you. But thanks again as you bear with us in terms of we trying out different technology platform. So let's just continue with the discussion. Just now we talked about the KZN floods, and we focused on the topic of landslip and subsidence. But as a broader sense, we're talking about natural perils, and how that when a person is affected by one of the natural perils, devastation, how is that person is covered? So my first question is, how is flood covered in an insurance policy? Hi, Ed, are you still there? Hi, Ed, are you still there? It looks like
Hi, Kevin. Maybe... Thank you once again for having me.
Okay, right. Okay, now we have you again. All right, did you hear what I was saying? My first question is that how is flood covered in an insurance policy?
So in the insurance policy for personal and commercial, they cover, or under the fire section, is called the fire section. It actually covers fire, flood, and basically all the natural perils or risk that you can think of. And one of that would be landslip and subsidence.
Yeah. Okay. So in order for a person to be covered for flood and natural perils, they must have a fire section, or for a domestic policy, wouldn't that be covered under the homeowner's insurance?
That's right, yeah. So under personal, there will be your house and your contents, and then within that, then they would cover the fire and also subsidence, flood, and landslip.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it must be when clients check their policies, there's usually on the policy, it would actually mention if landslip and subsidence are covered on what basis. So we have to be mindful that there are two bases. One is called a limited basis, which is let's say adequate for most people.
Okay.
But then if you stay in an area that is prone to subsidence, or close to the sea, or close to mining operations, then you might need comprehensive cover. And in that case, the insurer will require a geological report. So, so if, like I said, if you stay in those areas, especially if you stay in some of the beautiful areas in maybe Durban or Cape Town, Camps Bay, those are the ones who might require a more comprehensive cover.
Okay, so Ed, I'd just like to break it down a little bit. So for typical individual or homeowner, when he takes out a policy, insurance policy to cover his house, then he can have a section that covers his house. So the property is like a structure, and the house like a brick and mortar. But then if he wants to cover for his like contents, like maybe I'm thinking about fridges, table and chairs, things in the house, and then he needs to make sure he's got the household contents, right? So then the household contents, they will automatically there's added limited landslide and subsidence cover. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. And
okay.
So the easy way to remember it is, if you turn the house around,
yeah,
everything that moves
yes.
belongs to the contents section.
Okay.
And in those, and then whether it's under house or contents, all these perils are automatically included.
Okay. I like this this pearl of wisdom, because your analogy of saying when you turn the house upside down, and then that actually make a vivid image in a person's mind, and so you can differentiate between homeowners or house insurance and household contents. So can we assume that for all the major insurance companies in South Africa, provided you have your house insurance, your household contents insurance, that landslide and landslip and subsidence cover, limited cover is automatically included?
That is correct, unless if you stay in an area that has got a history of subsidence. In some cases, the insurers might exclude it, but they would inform you about it. So I think it's important for us to take a step back and say, when you purchase a property, whether it's a house or commercial property, it's important to also look at the area, the history of the area. Has there been flood or subsidence? Because that would impact on the future insurability of those properties, and it also impacts on your livelihood or business. So it's very important that our clients also look into the broader factors when buying a property or choosing a location to stay.
Okay, I think you're bringing another aspect or to this discussion, because I think even before we talk about insurance, when you operate your business or when you buy property, I think that what you point out here is quite valid. Ask those questions: has been a history of flood? Is near like mining operation? Is maybe in the mountainous area where it could be subject to landslide? And also like in a coastal region, in Durban, low-lying areas, and things like that. So these are real. And so when you are buying property, or you're choosing where to live or operate your business, I think these are the quite important consideration. And then coming back to the subsidence cover. So what you are saying just now, it seems to me that people who are near or in the mining areas, like I'm in Joburg and you're in Cape Town, and that comes to mind is that like in Rustenburg, 2 hours away from Joburg, where they have a huge platinum mining going on. There can be areas where they have gold mining, like Orkney or some other places, like there can be like iron ore or the other types of minerals being mined. And if you live in these areas or close to these areas, or maybe in areas previously mined, if I come to mind, maybe like say Springs, Benoni area, it's possible that this could be the kind of a seismic event could cause these issues, and so it's all important to consider. All right, so that I just want to check that in the policy, does it actually spell out the word like landslide or landslip and subsidence? So if it's covered, then you will see that in your policy schedule or policy wording.
That is right, yeah. So it would mention it, although the insurers don't give a definition of subsidence and landslip. The same way they don't give a definition for earthquake, because there would be scientific definitions out there. So if we say subsidence, that's basically, movement in a vertical direction, straight, and then landslip would be like a rapid downward movement, due to gravity. So those are similar, but not quite the same. Landslip is certainly a more sudden event. And that's how we look at it. Ultimately, it really depends on the cause of the issue. So a typical example is flood. So, when there's a flood, would the insurer pay? It really depends on the cause. There are many factors causing flood. If you have a flood inside a house, for example, I'm not talking about flood in the area, just inside your house, due to heavy rain.
Sure.
It could be because your house is not maintained properly, and the water comes through. So there will be, when it comes to claims, it always depends on what is the cause. When it comes to subsidence and landslip, if it has to do with a structural issue, so maybe, the construction of the property wasn't done right, or it wasn't built in an area that was supposed to be developed. It could be below the flood line, or it could be in an area that's got a history of subsidence, but they still built on it. So all these inherent issues would, there would be question marks when it comes to claims. So it's very important to, once again, to check the area when you purchase those properties, and obviously to maintain the properties in a good condition. Right.
So Ed, I just want to maybe use the recent flood example. I've seen picture of like apartment building or even houses washed down, just disappeared. Would that be subsidence, or would it be landslip after the floods?
Well, I think the ultimate cause would be, or the most proximate cause would be flood. Yeah, because the water, sort of washes away the building. But once again, it goes back to the question of, was there any faulty design or construction that caused, that ultimately caused the building to wash away? Or is it purely just natural perils, and the building couldn't withstand the force of nature? So those are interesting questions that come into play. Let's go back to the basic principles of short-term insurance. It has to be unforeseen and sudden. So anything that takes a period of time to develop, and then it sort of manifest. Once again, there can be a question mark at claim stage.
So that leads me to my next question, because will the homeowners in KwaZulu-Natal who are affected, who are properly insured, successfully claim from the insurer? Give them good news.
Once again, it depends. Well, luckily, the insurers in South Africa, and also the regulators, they are very, they want to protect the client. They understand that there is a loss. And I think the insurers have shown their values during the pandemic. And when they paid out certain claims, they would otherwise be excluded. So luckily, we in a very developed and in some cases kind market. So our insurers are always there to discuss and negotiate. But once again, if it has to do with a policy exclusion, then they could reject the claim. So those policy exclusions would be in the wording. If it's not unforeseen, if it's not sudden, if it happened over time, if it's related to wear and tear, maintenance, those things are automatically excluded. But there's always rooms for us as the brokers to negotiate with the insurers. Right.
Okay. My last point is that when I review my policy, or when someone reviews his insurance policy, What and where do you need to check to ensure you have adequate lane slip and subsidence cover?
I think on the policy itself, so, obviously the policy can be quite long. So you just do a quick keyword search and search for subsidence and see what it says. In most cases, it would say, it would appear and then there would be a tick, or it would say there's limited cover. And then within the actual wording, then you will see what's covered and what's not. And luckily these days, the policy wording is very simple. So they use layman's term to explain what's covered and what's not. So it's important. Obviously, we as the brokers would explain it to the client, but the client also has the duty to just go through it, especially when you are concerned about certain aspects. So if you stay in an area that's close to a river or sea, or even a dam, you want to pay careful attention to flood and what it says about flood on your policy.
Okay.
So each policy and client are different.
Yeah, I think this is quite valuable advice to the viewers because I know in the South African market there are people who insure directly with one of the direct insurers such as Insurance, but there are also a lot more people who insure via a broker and through a broker like yourself and as well as Mariska in our team. That's where they get advice, and the broker can check the policy wording and check what's covered and can give them the right advice, and also maybe highlight certain things to the clients. So I just like to also mention for those of the viewers, if you like to speak to one of our brokers on your insurance policy to discuss your needs and review your policy to see whether you are properly covered, whether it's for flood, other natural perils or other things, that you're welcome to find our Facebook page, Diversity Financial Services, and then you can make inquiry there, leave message, and our telephone details and email is there. And alternatively, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our Diversity Wealth channel, where this live stream is also available, as well as a recording. And I'd just like to thank Ed for your time. Is there any final concluding remarks you'd like to make before I let you go?
I think our newsletter at Diversity is also great in sharing information like this about short-term insurance or investment, so that the client benefit from those information.
Okay. Right. Thanks, Ed, for that reminder. Maybe what I'll do is that on the comment section, I will also just put the link for anyone who are interested in signing up our monthly newsletter to get information on insurance and personal finance. But Ed, thanks very much for joining me for this discussion and dealing with all the technological and load shedding challenges. I'm glad that we have this discussion, and I'd just like to wish you well, and I'd like to wish all the viewers out there well as you carry on with the rest of your day.